Good morning. Hello, Stephanie. Let's see who else. Hi, Julie. You like this? This is what I left the desk with last night. So I just wanted you guys to see how utterly crazy and disorganized. I just abandoned it yesterday. But I figured it would be kind of make you guys feel better because my desk is never ever neat unless I clean it and I'm like going on vacation. Or I'm gonna do a card party because I have most everything packed. So this is what it looks like. It's a hot mess. Oh, good morning from hot Arizona. Hi, Donna. We actually are experiencing our 5th fall here in Maryland, or maybe it's our first fall here in Maryland. It was rainy yesterday, and today it is like absolutely gorgeous, but it is definitely not summer weather. That is 100% sure. Yes, it's very cool. Same probably here in Wisconsin. Marlene, we're probably the same with you. Good morning from Kansas. So I wanted to show you guys just a few things before we started. A couple of these are actually the cards we're going to make. So let me set this one aside. So last week, Donna asked about what you do with the... Where is that other card I have? I don't know where I put it. But the card we made last week, Donna was asking, like, what would you do with the other side of it? So I have a video that I'm actually going to, I have to hit the button on it for it to go. But I made a quick video yesterday. It's going to be on YouTube with using the inside of the cards. So these inside cutouts from the stitched nested labels. So I made... as you can see, 5 cards here. This one is only a front. I would have to put this onto something, but it's still almost a card. And I end up having 1 piece left over. And this was actually the piece left from this one. So what you could do is you can cut them in different ways and have like different, like this is just a black background behind it. You could have different layers of it, but I made different cards. So I just wanted to share those with you guys. And then I have this one left over that I could make into a card on either side. Would look really pretty. So I did this with a combination of the, I always want to call this bird ballad, but Free as a Bird. And then I also did a few of the sentiments from the Waterfront stamp set. So I kind of thought I would just share these with you guys. That way you could see them. They really are pretty. And I really like the magnolia. I know like there's magnolia stuff everywhere, but the paper is really gorgeous. And we're going to do more today. So aren't you lucky? But the paper is so, I think it's so striking because of the pink and the green and the black. Really makes a gorgeous card. Obviously, make sure yours isn't crooked like mine. I put mine a little crooked, but that's okay. A crooked card is better than no card, right? So these are the cards. These will be actually up on a YouTube video. So I filmed a YouTube video. I haven't filmed one and I can't even tell you how long. But, so I will put that up. I have it all ready to go. I just have to hit the button. And then what I was fooling with yesterday, I was actually going to make another video, but I was like, hey, we can use it for the live. So, good morning. Good morning, Deborah. Are you in bed watching this in Washington State? It's beautiful. Thank you all for joining today. It's so nice to see you guys. I'm probably going to be switching off of Wednesdays for the summer, just so it's fair to my nieces. I watch my nieces during the summer so we can like go to the park and then get in the pool or whatever. So I think I'm going to do it on Mondays. So I will let you guys know. And there could be some times where maybe they're like, let's make a card. So maybe you'll see us on Wednesdays. But anyway, here's what we're going to make today. I'm going to show you first my least favorite card and then we'll move on from there. So I kind of thought like this kind of goes along with the floating frame cards, if you can imagine. Now, obviously, we don't have this DSP, so let me show you what I did. And I have a few examples, so in case you might not have the new paper, I have a couple other things that you could do this with that I think would look perfect, which is really cool. But what I did was I used a piece of the Come Sail Away DSP, so I used the stripe side. And then what I did was I took the coordinating stamp set, so Sailing Home, and I just randomly stamped some images onto this. And then I punched them out with the coordinating dies and I raised them up. So what I intended to do for this one, and I'll show you, but I just couldn't figure out the placement of it. I did some of these words, so I'm going to show you guys how to do this as well. I'm sure it's not new to you, but the one that you're going to see is really pretty. So I thought this would be great for like if you needed a card like for your dad or for a guy. Again, this one wasn't my favorite, but I still think it kind of turned out cool. And then I thought you could add like the miss you one here, but I couldn't get the layout the way I wanted it. I think I should have spaced the images out a little bit different, and then maybe I could have put it in the middle here. But, you know, that's a work in progress. This was the second card I made. The first card really knocked it out of the park, but I'm going to show you the third card first. So this is the other card that I created. And again, these little words here are from Well Written. And I'm going to show you how I did these. I cut multiples of them, glued them together. So this is another one. I didn't add a sentiment to this. And once again, I know my paper is a little crooked, and I'll tell you why. So this one I used the Magnolia stamp for. So I used the huge Magnolia. And what I did was I stamped this onto a white piece of cardstock. And then I cut the Magnolia out. I colored it in, and then with the piece that was left over, because this does coordinate, so if you can see it was cut, I just went and stamped it. So I stamped the little, I call these flourishes. I don't even know if that's what they're called, but I stamped it, and then I drew some lines with the crumb cake marker, and then I just stamped the leaves to kind of make this like a background DSP. And then what I did was I glued this part down, and I popped up the Magnolia. So I think it looks really neat, but it definitely needs a sentiment to take a little bit of the crookedness off. So I think if you were a little bit smarter about it, I kind of wanted it to come off of the card, like it was coming out of the card. You could place your Magnolia a little bit better. So what I kind of had it doing was like coming, so it was like coming off of it. But if you were a little bit smarter about it, you might move it up a little bit. That way you have a piece that's continuous, because this piece that I have is broken, if you can see right here and right here. So it was a little bit tricky to get it all square, but I still think it was a pretty cool concept. I actually colored these in with the Stampin' blends. I used Crumb Cake, Mossy Meadow, and Petal Pink, and I think it looks really realistic. And then of course I added some Wink of Stella to it, because I can't leave good enough alone. And I did Daffodil Delight for the center. Okay, but my favorite, and this is probably one of the ones that's easier, so maybe if you're going to start with this, might be the best idea, and then move on from there. Let me move this out of the way for the big reveal, is this one. And you might be like, oh, that just looks like a regular card. But see, I popped up all the Magnolias that were on the DSP. So this is very simple. It's just from this piece of DSP, and the Magnolia paper is called Magnolia Lane Designer Series paper. So what I did was, I'm going to do another one like this, and I'll show you. It was really simple. So we just trimmed this down. I cut out the Magnolias, and then I glued the paper down. Again, this one's crooked as well, because apparently yesterday I was having slightly sideways stamper day. And then I added this, this is 4 layers of thick Whisper White, and then I just added ink to the bottom edge of it. So I'm going to show you how to make this one today. But the other thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to bring something back, and I know a lot of times people don't do this because they're like, well, you can't get it anymore. So just be warned, you cannot buy this any longer, but maybe somebody might have it. So I thought this would work out really well, because I don't have all the DSP in the catalog yet. But you could even do it with the Animal Expedition would be a good one. Let's see if I can find one that I have that's like got a big enough full sheet here. So this one, what I'll do is I'll see if we can cut this 4, and we'll make a vertical card. We can at least cut out the rhino, and we can potentially cut out the giraffe head. So I'll see where we're going to cut it. But one other thing I wanted to show you, and I don't know if everyone saw this or not, so I'm going to just go through it just for the heck of teaching you a tip that you might not know. And I actually shared this when I did my my Mother's Day card for a Mother's Day blog hop. But just in case you didn't watch the video, I'm going to show you. If you ever have animals or shapes for any instance that don't exactly go the way you want them to go. So like for example, right, when you're going to cut this giraffe out, you have to cut him out when he's facing to the right. But what you can do is you can take your die. Now you do have to hold this up, so I can't really show you because it's kind of like this. I have picked up from X-ray school because we would look at things up against a light box. So if you have a light box, it'll work. But basically what you do is you hold this up to light so you can see through the other side, and then you can cut this out backwards and then we'll be able to pop this up. So we will do this one as well, but I'm going to do the regular magnolia first. So let's see, we have that. Actually, I think everything's going to work backwards here because we have this rhino, which he's going to be backwards. So I will cut out the rhino and I will cut out the giraffe. I think that's probably all we're going to be able to fit depending on the size of paper. So we'll have to see where we end up with that. So we'll use those. And then we'll do one with the magnolias as well. And then I'll show you guys how to do this stacked card. So hopefully this will be fun. This is kind of like floating frame, but slightly easier version, or 2.0, whichever it is you want to call it. Now we are going to keep the well-written framelits out because we're going to add our sentiment. So like we did thanks for this one. So we could do welcome for the giraffe card, or we could do like, you could probably do with sympathy, but it would kind of be hard to add both of them. I think it'd be a little bit much to add both of them on this. So maybe instead we could just do friend. So we'll do friend for this one, and then we'll do something different for the other one. So let me just scoot all this stuff out of the way, and we'll get started. Also, with well written, it does have a coordinating stamp set, which is well said. It does have a lot of really nice words that go along with it, just in case you missed that. So let me see if I can make a stack of things and not have them fall over. That's always my goal, but usually something ends up falling over in the middle of the video, so it's kind of the way it rolls. You've been floating, what's that, with the floating frames, floating around your paint. You know, I agree with you with the DSP. I don't, you know, it's funny because, and I don't say this intentionally, so I really hope no one takes it this way. I'm just going to pop these stamps in here real quick while we're chatting. I know they always have really great sales, but I can never remember them either. Like when they are, I really need to start paying a little bit more attention to like when the whatever sale is. Because I know last year they had a really good, like sign up as a demo thing. And then they had a really good DSP sale. But for some reason, I never seem to remember like when in time they are. So I need to start like paying a little bit better attention to that. That way I can try to wait for it. Which kind of works out potentially well because I did forget to order several things when I did my pre-order because it was 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'll blame it on that, but maybe it ended up being serendipitous. That way I could order some other stuff later. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to try to cut both of these down. Just set these up here. I'm going to cut both of these down so we have them. So this one is 4, so I really only need to cut this to 5 1/4. So we'll go like, oops, go like that. So this one will be 4 by 5 1/4. I did this one originally on early espresso because I think it brought out the espresso, but instead this time we'll do it on petal pink. So we'll do it a little bit different, and then we'll add a different color to the words. So I made 2 of those, so I just have one little piece left thus far. And then for this one, let's see, this should be 4 inches. I usually cut all my DSP at 4 inches. So let's see, if I were to cut that here, I'm going to cut a little bit off. So I'm going to do it this way. So we'll have the bottom of the giraffe, and then we'll have the rhino. So I'm just trimming this to 5 1/4. And I know we'll have that little bit there, but we'll at least have 2 things popping off. So that'll be fun. So we'll use that piece for that one. So what we're going to do, let me scoop this out of the way, is I'm going to go ahead and bring the Big Shot, and we're going to cut out most of our pieces first, which this is the part that is the most tedious depending on which way you're doing it. But at the same time, like if you do it on this piece of DSP, it's much easier because it's just the same shape that you're cutting out a couple different times. So again, you will need the magnolia dies to be able to do this. So we're going to pull this one off here. I did cut with this one. I cut the large magnolia, and I will tell you a couple tips. The framelits, when you pull them off, or dies that we're calling them now, they are a lot thinner and they feel like they're going to break, but they do cut really, really close. So I like that a lot. There's not, I didn't trim anything off on that. I probably could have lined it up slightly better, but I think it cut at a really nice closeness to the flower that I stamped. Hold on, now I can't get this daggone thing back in here. And by the way, the Rainbow Stamper is in Strasburg, which is in Pennsylvania, which is where you go to watch trains. He's there with his grandparents, so that's why I'm a little bit giddy, because I haven't really had anybody to talk to. It's funny when someone's gone and you don't have anybody to talk to, how much you realize I must talk a lot throughout the day. So, let's see. It was last year, all right, I'm seeing some people said paper sale in July. You were told that. Who told you that? How come I don't know that? Because I thought I was pretty in. I thought I was like pretty up there with Stampin' Up. Apparently it must not be. So I'm going to just set these in a pile on the side. Well, thanks for telling me that, ladies. If it's going to be in July, maybe I missed that memo, or either that or else there's somebody that's clearly way above me that knows a lot more than I do. Or both. All right, so we have that. So there's 2. So again, even though it is like just a partial die cut, it really ends up looking neat because the way it lands on the side. So I'm going to just line this one up. All right, and see. Slide this one in so we only have 1 more. You checked your receipts. You just talk. See, I don't even have a dog. The fish don't really care very much if I talk to them or not. So it's also kind of funny, and I know Donna and I have talked about this before, about how much you love your children, and sometimes they really press your nerves, but she was just saying her son is older, and he still presses her nerves. However, it's amazing how fast time goes when they're little. This would be a great card to do, just thinking of it, because I saw the impression on here with the Geared Up Garage. If you have any of that Geared Up Garage DSP left over, that sold out like hotcakes. Luckily, the stamp set and the dies carried over. So there's that. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut the other one while we're at it. I'm going to put all these together. So here's our flowers, our magnolias, and then I'm going to put this on the side. I'm going to do this as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this at my light. I'll line it up and then we'll cut it backwards. So I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So this is, it's pretty simple to line up because it's just kind of backwards of where you were. So there's one. And let me just do the giraffe as well. But see, all those years of x-ray school came in handy. I'm using it for something else. Completely not medical related, but it's okay. So I'm going to put both of these through, and I'm going to just cut them face down. Whoops. Just going to cut them face down since I have it laying that way. All right. That is true. It is only certain designer series papers. That's a very good point. Okay, so you can see here, look, I flipped these over. So if I pull this one off, it cuts this rhino out perfectly. The only thing that's missing is the little piece of the beak, so that will be showing. And then, not the beak, what am I saying? The horn. She's a whiz. I don't even know what part is what. And then, I must have sliced this one in half. And then here is the giraffe. So cut it out really, really well. So we'll just pop those 2 pieces up. So that will be that. And while I'm here, I'm going to do one more thing. So I'm going to cut out some of the words. And then that way when we're finished, we'll be all done. So what I have been doing is, when I trim my white cardstock for whatever reason, and this one might be a little bit, yeah, because of the F's are a little bit small. But I use this for miss. So I cut, you can see all 4 of those. So this is a great use of those little scrap pieces when you're trimming off your paper. Also, I tend to have, and I know somebody else asked me about this too. So these are the jam zipper sleeves. You can get these on Amazon. This is either thick whisper white, or this could very well be watercolor paper. So I'm actually going to use this if I can fit the friend on there. I think I can manage to get that on there somehow. So somehow I'll have like bigger pieces or just bigger scraps. So I usually will save the scraps just for these specific purposes. So I have a whole thing of white paper, and then I have a whole thing, as you can see, of just scraps. So I'm looking for it. Just want a couple more. And it doesn't even matter if they're on the other side, if you stamp something on them, because you're going to be gluing them together. So as long as they're not on the top layer, nobody's going to even notice it anyway. So let me cut out a couple of these, and then we'll go with, what do we say? We have friend we were going to do for 1. Come on, you little stinker. There we go. We have friend, and what was the other one we were going to use? So how about welcome? Because we'll do this one. We can make the other one kind of like a welcome baby card. So we'll do welcome. So I'm just going to do both of these at the same time. And welcome isn't going to fit, of course, either because that L is big, but that's okay. We'll put this here. Come on, why is this, like every time I try, I could do this 50 times a day, and one time I try to do it on camera and it tries to make me look stupid. So I'm going to crank this through. I'm going to crank it through 4 times. If you have thick whisper white, you probably could just do 3, but I kind of like doing 4 regardless because it just gives you a little bit more, and I'll show you, the one even popped out super easy, gives you a little bit more depth. So here's 1. And I don't even worry about the dots. You could probably save the dots if you wanted to, but that's just a little too much work for me. I always have my paper piercer handy just to pop this out. So we'll just keep going along with this. We have another welcome there. We'll make sweet Jesus in the summertime. There's one. I'll do another one with friend. Like, probably not smart. I have that paper piercer in my mouth. You know what's going to happen. I'll end up hurting myself. And it's kind of funny with the word dies. Sometimes I feel like I have a hard time. I'm just going to sit this one on the side. I have a hard time figuring out what to do with them. I don't know if that ever happens with you guys too. It's like I really like them, but I feel like sometimes I struggle with exactly how to use them. So then I'll end up not using them at all, which is just lame. So I'll do those 2. But once I find like a really great use for them, then I'm like, I'll just keep using them for whatever that is over and over again. It's never the ones you want. I gotta tell you one other thing though. I don't know if you guys watched, or if you do or don't watch Angie Judah, but she used a paper the other day. Where's that one that had the writing on it? I don't know where it is. Let's see if I can manage to get that one on here. She did one the other day and she made a box out of it, which was adorable. But the box that she made, it looked like a combination between watermelon rind and grass. And come to find out, it was the Perennial Garden DSP, like the backside. And I thought, well, now I gotta buy that. So even if you don't like a paper specifically, make sure that you take a look at both sides, because I think sometimes the other side might be even better than what the side is that's shown. All right, so I think we have enough of each. So let me move these out of the way. I'm pretty certain we're good. All right, so what we're gonna do is, I'm going to put these first. I'm gonna put these letters together. I'm gonna glue them together, and then we'll set these off to the side and we'll finish adding the color to them. And then I will put the card together afterwards, because yesterday I put my glued letters together and then I sprayed them with shimmer paint that was diluted with alcohol, because you know I can't leave anything plain anymore. I have like a problem. And they started coming apart because I think the alcohol like got a little crazy with the glue. So put those over here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pop these out and we'll start putting these together. You could either do this with the fine tip glue pen, you could do it with the Tombow liquid glue, which reminds me, I did not pick a winner for the Tipsy that I said I would, but I will pick one today because I have no obstacles here, no one to interrupt me. So if I can't get stuff done today, something is really, really wrong with me. Like, I think I might have a little bit of ADD. Like Dory said, oh, look, something shiny. Okay, so let me just finish popping these out. And I promise, you don't have to do this, but I think it really, like I said, it really makes it look cool with the multiple layers of it, so. I know, I love Angie Judah too. She is too funny. I once wrote Angie a message, and I told her, and Avenel, I think I told you this when I talked to you on the phone at the beach when Avenel was part of my team of the Rainbow Stampers, and I told her that, I said, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but you remind me, your voice reminds me of my grandmother, because my grandmother was Southern, and I miss her voice. So whenever I talk to someone Southern with a Southern accent, it always reminds me of my grandmother. So what I told Angie Judah was, I was like, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but I listen to your videos when I fall asleep at night because it makes me remind me of my grandmother, and it makes me feel warm and fuzzy before I fall asleep. So she was like, oh, that was so sweet. And unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to meet her when we went to Orlando last year. So hopefully I'll meet her again one day. She just made her $2 million in sales, which is amazing. Maybe one day, guys, you'll see I make $1 million in sales. It might be 50 years from now, but you never know. Okay, so I'm going to do some of these with the fine tip glue pen. I know this is another favorite of everybody's because they can't get the needle back in the hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put like a couple dots, there we go, of glue. It doesn't really have to be on every single one. So, let's see. And then you just take the top one. Only thing is, I'm doing this ahead of time as well because the last time when I did, I had ink on my hands, so I kind of got them all like inky and goopy. So kind of line them up, press them together so they match, unlike what I'm doing right now. There we go. So I'm going to set those there, and I'm going to put a block on them just to make sure it's pressed together. Yes. This is the Tipsy. The Tipsy is the Tombow glue holder, in case you guys don't know. I didn't give her enough play, right, Gail? So nobody knows who it is. They must be newbies, which hey, welcome if you're newbie. If you just happen to catch me, I'm happy to have you here. And if you haven't heard about the Tipsy, it's going to make your crafting life immensely better. You have no idea. And the Boss. The Boss holds the heat embossing tool. So I'll put this together. All right, and I'm going to just do the same. Oops, this one's just slightly unlined. So I'm going to put that there. And I'm going to do the last one on the back, and I'm going to stick this to the front. Hopefully I'm not putting this in a pile of goop that it's going to be all yucky looking, but as you can see, I'm not being very careful when I put my glue on there, because since it's the fine tip glue pen, it does dry pretty seamlessly. You don't really see any goopy stuff. And when I put my my sentiment onto my other card, I put way too much glue in the back. Luckily it dries clear and it kind of just looks shiny, but that was like a big whoopsie. So I'm just going to press this. I just want to make sure that they're really tight together. So I'll just take my block and give it like a good press. And I do want to pull it off because I want to make sure that it doesn't get stuck. So we'll leave that one there. All we have to do is just put our friend together. So we'll just put a little bit of glue. You could also, if you wanted to, I'll show you another way you could do this because I said I would. And then I forgot. Where the heck is my, oh Lord, I lost my cap. Here it is. And if you ever have a problem with this where it doesn't come out, you can actually take this part off and there's a needle in there you can clean off, or you can take the bottom part off sometimes, just rinse it in warm water and get like the built up glue off of there. So I'll put this one on and I'll show you another way you can do it as well. So there's that. Okay. Press that down. Now the other way you can do it, which this does get a little tacky once it's dried, but it still works pretty well, is you can put some liquid glue. And I just kind of keep the same one. This is just a glue sponge. And where's my bigger one? I'm going to very gently tap some glue on there and then put this on. If you wanted to, you could also die cut these with those adhesive sheets, and then you could just peel the back off and put them together really, really simply. All right, so that's pretty good. I'm going to do the last one, and the last one I'm actually going to do this one upside down. Just be careful, because especially if you have these very delicate words and your sponge is pretty tacky, which I should try cleaning this off with soap and water to see if I can get the goop out of it. It might work a little better. So I'm going to put this one on. Okay. Sorry, somebody was calling my phone and interrupted my feed here. I want to make sure I can see what you guys are saying. And then the other thing that's kind of neat about these, in case you haven't noticed, I think I might have not put enough glue on the E in the end, is you can also kind of shape these. So if you wanted them to go like bent or straight, you could do that as well. I'm going to press this down just to see. You could also add multiple color layers. So you could put like white on top and then gray underneath, and you could kind of offset it so it would have like a little shadow to it. So that's another cool idea. So I'm going to let those sit for a minute. And now we're going to work on our card. So I said I'm going to do this one in petal pink this time versus the espresso. Let's see. Bent the end of my cardstock. Boo-hoo. And I'm going to do this one in, oh my god, I have to have some lovely lipstick laying around here somewhere. You know what, since it's handy, because I did save my lemon lime twist because I really like that color and I hope it makes a comeback one day, I'm going to do it in lemon lime twist. Sorry for all of those of you who might not have gotten your lemon lime twist, but this is going to sadly show you that if you really like something, you have to make sure you get it when it's available. Alright, so I'm going to score this. This is a full sheet of cardstock. I'm going to score it at 5.5, and then I'm going to cut it at 4 1/4. So then we're going to end up with 2 half sheets. So we're going to use one for our magnolia, and then the other one I will do the opposite way. So I'm going to score this one at 4 1/4, and then I'm going to cut it at 5.5. So we'll use that one for the animal expedition. Alright, so I'm going to do this differently than I did it the first time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this down first, because what I did last time was I kind of laid them all together. And where's this one? This goes here. I kind of laid them all together. I put these down first, and I still had a hard time with the fact that this wasn't really square to the paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some liquid glue on it. That way it'll give me the chance if I need to maneuver it a little bit. Make sure you get it to the corners since you have some of these cut out pieces. So get to the edge of wherever you're going. By the way, Gail, how was your trip? I didn't expect to see you on here. I'm guessing, I don't know, maybe you're still on vacation. And then you kind of just have to decide, do you want the cutout piece at the top? Do you want it at the bottom? But I'm going to leave it right where this one is at the top. That way I have a place in the center to put the sentiment. So, should be making fudge. Well, you could be making fudge while you're doing this, but I'm guessing you probably don't want to be boiling hot milk and all that. That looks pretty good. Of course, there's a hair stuck under there. There's Lisa. Hey, Lisa. Lisa and her husband are the creators of the Tipsy and the Boss. So let's see. I'm going to fold this. So that looks much better. Much more square. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my dimensionals. And I have some bigger dimensionals. I don't have too many. I have some bigger dimensionals, and I also have some of the smaller ones because you will need some little pieces for here. I also have my adhesive strips in case I need any little pieces as well. So what I'm going to do is, what did I do with my scissors? Lord knows. I'm going to just cut some of these off. So I kind of usually cut these in pieces for the end. And then I'll use some of these for putting stuff on. Alright, so let's see what we have here. So we have, I kind of try to like line these up where I think they went. So we have that one, this one, I make sure I'm in the frame there. That goes there. This is the partial piece. And this one. Alright, so we'll start with this one. Everyone is still sleeping there. That's hilarious. You're traveling with a bunch of old farts. That is hilarious. I thought old farts woke up early. That doesn't make sense to me. My grandfather was always up at like the crack of dawn. I think, like, I guess what you're at, either at that one point where you are able to sleep in because you're an old fart, or you don't want to sleep in too long because you don't know how much longer you might have if you're really old, huh? All right, so I'm going to slide this one in. So I'm kind of just making sure I have it lined up and setting it on top. So super easy. Let's see, this one could use a big piece because that's a big flower. Let's see, cut this off a little bit. And again, you don't really have to fill the whole thing out. So if you don't put it on the tail, it's not going to make or break your card. It just depends on how anal you want to be with your dimensional placement. I know some people like to have things more... Oops, hold on here. I'm like, I got this one wrong. There we go. So let's set that there. Okay, there's 1, 2. We'll finish up with this one. But I think this is a fun thing to do if you're like a little bit intimidated by the floating frame, because it is a little bit of work. You guys remember me saying that. I mean, it was a lot of work on some parts of it with all the press and seal. It was very cool, but I know the last time when we had a card party, the ladies were like, are we going to do one of those floating frames? And I thought, oh my gosh, I was hoping somebody would not ask me that. Time zone adjustment. I don't know. I don't think they're that far off a time zone. Because she went from New York to Texas, right, Gail? So they shouldn't be that far off. But that's what they can say if they want to, right? You're on vacation. You can do pretty much what you want when you're on vacation. Right. I think I might have put that one a little bit close to the edge, but there we go. And let me just get one more in here. And we only have 2 on the other one, so it'll be much easier. And you could also do this on multiple layers. So you could do it on a pink layer and then add it to a either an espresso. Yeah, this one's hanging over just a little bit. So I'm just going to take my scissors and just nip that little piece off so it doesn't stick out, especially since it's on the side. You could do it on petal pink and then put it on espresso or mossy meadow. But look, really, so it looks super simple, right? Because it just looks, sorry about that, looks flat. But then when you look at it from the side, it's lifted. It's really cute. So I'm going to put this one on the side. We're going to finish this last one, and then I'll show you guys how to finish the sentiments that we're going to add on here. So we have the same thing again. So we have our rhino and our giraffe. So I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on. So I don't know what, I'm trying to think of what I want to call this when I post it, because I know everybody's always like, well, what's this called? So we could call it like the unfloating frame, or the floating frame 2.0, or the reverse floating frame. All right, so make sure that's pretty centered on there. And the cool thing is too, when you like look at this and it's laying down, you can see that peak of pink underneath, which I think makes it really fun. The same thing, it'll look the same when you do this with the lime green. So we're going to put some dimensionals on our giraffe. Since he's pretty slim, I'm going to make sure he's got a lot of dimensionals. We put another little one on the side here. Floating frame plan B. I love that. Patricia, that is what I'm going to go with. That is hilarious. That's totally something I would have thought of if I would have given myself 5 more years to think about it. Plan B. I like it. Your dog must be related to my son, because we usually are up. I actually was able to sleep in today until 5 of 8, which is a miracle, because usually he gets up. He came in yesterday morning to wake us up and kind of surprise us, which I will say almost gave me a flippin' heart attack at 5 of 6. So he's usually up with the birds. All right, I'm going to put one more. I'm just going to pull a piece of this off. I want to put one more in that middle part just to make sure it doesn't miss. There we go. And I'm going to put one more little tiny one up here by the ear. Let's see. Okay. So I'm just going to give these a good press, make sure they're anchored on there really well, and then peel the backing off, and then we'll add these in, finish up our multi-layer sentiment. So I'm going to just take this and set it down just like that. So there you have your floating giraffe. All right, this is going to take another minute, so oh, that sounds fun. What are we talking about here? Plan B. They're fun once they get, oh goodness, the floating frame. Plan B, your dog wakes up with the sun. Hold on while I'm removing these. They seem to be quick and easier. However, people who sleep in are boring. That's hilarious. Wow. It's funny because we were saying that too about my son, that he like goes, there is no in between. He's at a 10. He wakes up at a 10, and right before he passes out at night, he's a 10. There is no lower level with him whatsoever. All right, so I'm going to stick these on there. This one's a little bit long, so I'm going to just trim this off. Just a hair. Okay. All right, so there's that. So we can see. This one might benefit from, I would say, like almost a little bit less dimensionals because the way I have it stuck down, but you still can see it. It's kind of got this connection piece here, which is a little weird. And also, I think the other thing was, these are like a slight bit higher than the other dimensionals. So I think if you're going to do one, stick with one or the other, because I can see like a wave here. Probably because the regular dimensionals, if you can see, they aren't quite as high. So make sure you stick with, if you're using these, use these. If you're using the strips, use the strips, just because they definitely have a little bit different. So it's making him look a little wonky, but that's okay. We're going to keep it anyway. All right, so now we just have to add our sentiments. So let me get all this stuff out of the way, and we will wrap these babies up, which, again, the other funny thing is, too, I promise, this is like the one time, yesterday I was in my office making samples for stuff because I haven't done that in a while, just like made random cards. And this is, I think, the one time where I didn't look on Pinterest and find some sort of an inspiration. So I don't know if this is real, meaning like that I 100% thought of this, or maybe I saw it somewhere and then I slept on it and woke up and it came to life. I'm not really 100% sure, but we're going to go with it. So I'm going to finish the welcome. I'm going to do it in Lovely Lipstick. And then the friend one, I'm going to do in, since we have this on Petal Pink, I'm going to do it in Mossy Meadow. So all I did is I have a piece of scrap paper because I ended up messing up my card yesterday when I didn't scrap. So I'll just take the edge of my ink pad here, and I'm kind of just pressing it down halfway on the words. Whoa! What I thought was halfway on the words. Oh my gosh, where is it? There it is. Never a dull moment here, is it? So you have kind of like that halfway friend there. Okay, so there's one. And if you don't like it, look, you didn't do it. I did it, so you can skip it. Might look a little bit nicer with a lighter one, but once we spray it with the shimmer paint, it does lighten up a little bit, so don't worry. All right, so then this one, you see I'm using old homework sheets here, is Lovely Lipstick. So I'm going to see if I can press this down a little bit and get my head down there closer. Okay, that looks a little cooler. All right, so let me put these back. So then you have your welcome. Okay, so now I'm going to flip this over. Hold on, I get another one. Okay, so I'm going to take these, and I believe this is the Champagne Mist, yeah, because it's not labeled, because that's how I go with stuff. I either label it or I don't label it, and this one I got a little bit of pink on, but oh well. And then I'm going to just spray this with the shimmer mist and the alcohol. And it does kind of make the color lighten slightly and blend a little bit. So if you're worried about like, oh my gosh, it's really dark, it actually got about a shade and a half lighter. Just looking at it. And you can see there's the shimmer. So it's really cute. And Same with the welcome. But again, definitely make sure this is dry first. You can see the shimmer on there. Because if not, for some reason, that alcohol was like letting everything be released, which is not cool after you've done all that work. So we'll put this one here and this one here. And I'm going to go back one more time. I'm going to get out my silicone mat. You could do it with the sponge if you want to. I'm going to try to flip this over to a clean side. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put a little bit, and I'm saying a little because I put way too much when I did it the other time. So just like a couple dots of liquid glue onto the back here. Okay, so there's that. And where do we like this? This is the hardest part, I think, for me sometimes, is where I want to put the sentiment. I'm getting glue all over everything because I'm dragging it. I probably should have done this ahead of time. We'll put it here. Welcome. I know that might not be the ideal placement. And also, if you really want it to stick out, the other thing you could do is you could do it in black, so it really pops. That's another good idea. So we'll do this one. This one might be a little dark too now that I think about it, because that darn E and N still aren't sticking down. I might end up having to glue those again just on that one little part there. Let's see. I'm going to do this. Let's see if I can get this in here. Just glue it just a teeny bit. Okay. And that one was like a glob of glue, which is why I pressed it together with my fingers so I could kind of absorb it if I needed to. Just give that a squeeze. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing again, just add a little bit of glue. You could also just do this with colored cardstock. So you could do white cardstock, like 3 layers of white, and then add like petal pink for your top layer, so it was pink. I just was trying to fool around and do something that was a little bit brighter, or different, I should say. So put that friend there. That one's got like a little hint of pink because my dirty finger must have touched it. And if you do goop anything on there, it does dry. It is a little bit shiny of a clear, but it does dry. I think I like the pink better because it sticks out more. So this might almost be better if you just did it with pink words, maybe for the top one, but I still think it's cute. So let me scoot this stuff out of the way so you guys can see these cards. So this is the original one that I made yesterday. And then these are the 2 we did today. The friend, and then the other one with the animal expedition. You have the magnolia you could do if you like. And if you're feeling daring, you could do the nautical themed one. But I think they're really cute, and definitely another whole way to get some new use out of maybe either some designer series paper that you didn't use, or some paper that you don't know how to use yet. You also could probably do this with, I was trying to look through the DSP that I have, because I have the Starts With Art one. But the images on here, I don't really think there were any that were large enough that went with the dies, which is kind of why I avoided this one. Now, if you have a scan and cut, I think that's what they're called, which I don't have one of those. You could probably like maybe have it cut out some of the images, like on the ink paper, or the like the glue guns and all. You could have it cut some of those out, and then you could glue them back in place. But I don't know if you're able to cut like just some of the images, because you wouldn't want to cut, oh my gosh, if you glued all those back in place, that would probably take you way longer than the press and seal. And then it would be like the press and seal from you know where, which nobody would want to do that one. But you also have, this is the one I thought would be really cool if you could do it. If you had that scan and cut. For the birds. Because you could easily make a bird card. And I was thinking of doing that, but I'm like, I'm not going to make them watch me cut out a bird that's going to take me like 5 hours to cut it out. So that's why I didn't do that one. So I thought it was a really fun idea. Again, something different to do versus the the press and seal floating frame. Great way to use your DSP if you don't really necessarily know what to do with it. You could make these into really simple cards that you could have on hand, because quite honestly, if you did like a whole sheet of these, you could make, if you did 4x5, you could probably do 1, 2, 3, 4, like 8 cards. And really, it's not that, just crank these out and then you could glue them in while you're sitting around watching television or something. So, or waiting for your family and friends to wake up while you're on vacation, right? Well, thank you guys so much for stopping in today. I truly appreciate it. I also appreciate all of your support, so if there's anything that you'd like to buy, you can go to my online store 24/7, rachthestamper.stampinup.net. I will post these to the blog later. I will pick a winner of the Tipsy, and I will post that as well later on the blog post. And that's about it. So I will see you guys next week. I'm not sure what date, but stay tuned next week. I might try and do something on Thursday because I do get my pre-order today. Yay! From UPS. I was considering waiting, but they don't usually deliver till 6 o'clock. So I'll try and share something with you maybe on Thursday for my pre-order. Maybe I'll have a new card to do with some new DSP. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful week wherever you are. Enjoy the beautiful weather and share a smile. Thanks for watching.